In this video, I'm going to give you guys 5 reasons why your property is still sitting on the market and some tips that you can move your house from sale to sold. 2024 was an interesting and challenging year for sellers in Vancouver. We were dealing with high interest rates post-pandemic. We were dealing with the crackdown on capital gains. And with the continuation of the ban on foreign buyers, we saw the market fully get emptied out of all speculators. And those that are left are the real buyers and sellers. People that are looking to upsize and get that bigger home, people that are wanting to get closer to their work, and people that are downsizing and planning for their retirements. But now we are in 2025 and we've seen multiple rate drops since mid last year, with the latest one being at the end of January, which essentially brought the rates down to 3%. But we're not seeing sales pick up at that exact same pace, and we are seeing high levels of inventory in the market. One of the most common reasons that properties don't sell and end up sitting on the market is actually pretty simple. It's because it's overpriced. We all want top dollar for our home and we want it to sell for the best price, but buyers have become extremely savvy these days. They have access to lots of real estate websites, to lots of market reports, and they tend to make more data-driven decisions. So if your home is overpriced, you got to remember your home is being considered in comparison to all the other available options on the market. So if you're overpriced, they're just going to swipe left. Think about it this way. If you're looking to buy a car and you see the exact same make and model have vastly different prices on different websites and with different dealers, then the chances are you're going to pick the cheaper option, even if the more expensive option has the nicer pictures. So some of the tips that you can use to get ahead of this is make sure your realtor runs a very thorough comparative market analysis. They can pull the recent sold data of homes that have similar sizes, similar features and conditions, and you're able to get a good idea of what properties in your area are selling for, and that'll help you set a more realistic price. And you should always avoid emotional pricing. You may love that new backsplash that you have in the kitchen or your fully renovated brand new bathroom, but that doesn't always justify you adding 30 to 50 grand to your asking price, because the sentimental worth that we associate with our home doesn't always translate to a sold price at the end of the day. You also have to be pricing it based on where we are on the market. For example, if it's a hot seller's market and you see listings that are selling extremely quickly, which we have seen it in Vancouver back in 2021, 2022, then you may want to underprice your property, set it up for multiple offers, start a bidding war, and see if you can get top dollar for it that way. In 2021, 2022, we saw many people that got much more than they initially even expected. So that's something that you can take advantage of. But if you are in a buyer's market or a balanced market, then you want to price it closer to the price that you're looking to get at the very end. Be honest with the market, negotiate, be a very tough negotiator, and hopefully you'll get your price at that point. But there are a lot of other factors that go into this as well, which we'll explore today. So the moral of the story is price your home right from the start. That way you can actually find that qualified buyer much faster, maybe even start a bidding war. If you're overpricing, you're just setting yourself up for price reductions down the line. And that's something that's going to hurt you in the long run. Your time is valuable. The second reason that homes fail to sell is poor marketing. In this digital age, almost all first showings happen online and not in person. So if you have some really poorly lit photos that your realtor took with your iPhones, or you're lacking a floor plan, the chances are people are going to scroll right past your listing. And you don't want to miss that chance of a good first impression. So some advice on that end is make sure to always hire professionals. Having good marketing is no longer an optional thing. It's a necessity. You want professional photos, professional video, maybe even drone shots if you want to demonstrate a beautiful backyard or a nice neighborhood so you can stand out in comparison to your competition. And floor plans also are really good because many people, when they're shopping, and this is a conversation we have with a lot of our buyers, is we get them to actually write out their needs and their wants. And floor plan kind of gives them that chance to verify that you have what they need and they get a lay of the land and they understand the flow of the house before they actually visit in person. So by the time they're there in person in your home, they already have a certain level of interest. That's why they're there. Also, these days, it's so important to leverage social media. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they have become a great place where people go to see those home tours. And a lot of colleagues actually in our profession, they use it to see what listings are coming to the market. Many realtors, they post coming soon posts where a listing is going to hit the market before it actually comes on the market, giving you an extra competitive advantage. So moral of the story, make sure you're hiring professionals to market your home. Photographers, videographers, take those extra steps because those small efforts are going to have a huge return on investment for you in the long run. So remember, your marketing is your home's first impression in the digital world. If you have some poorly lit, unappealing pictures online, then the chances are people are just going to scroll right past your listing. And in this game, you want to maximize every opportunity to market your home. Now, on the other hand, you can have the best marketing in the world, but if buyers pull up to your doorstep and they see an overgrown lawn or a messy, cluttered interior, then all of that marketing goes out the window. Presentation is everything, and curb appeal sets the tone for the rest of the showing. Buyers, they tend to form their first impression within the first few seconds that they enter your home. So if they see peeling paint or messy landscaping or even a dirty front door, then that tends to cast a shadow over the whole showing, and it could hurt your chances even if your interior is actually beautiful. So take care of some landscaping and exterior touch-ups. Mow the lawn, trim the hedges, plant some flowers, maybe even power wash the driveway. Those items, they're gonna give the home a well-maintained vibe that's very inviting to buyers. And also make sure to declutter and clean. A clean and clutter-less space, it helps buyers envision themselves living there. And on that note, make sure you remove a lot of personal items, any big knick-knack collections you may have, so you can allow space for buyers to envision themselves living there. And then take care of some minor repairs and touch-ups as well. So if there's a squeaky door, try to fix it. If they're burnt out light bulbs, that's a really easy fix. Make sure you fix those light bulbs because overall you want the buyers to have a feeling that the home has been well maintained. And that way, that gives them confidence in purchasing the property, as well as give them a good feeling about the home they're about to purchase and move their family into. First impressions are everything in real estate. If you have a well-maintained, beautiful home, it allows the buyers to envision themselves living there and think with themselves, hey, I could live there. So curb appeal is everything. Take care of it. Now, there's certain circumstances where you may be getting a lot of showings, but you're wondering, well, why did that buyer not like my house? Why did they pass on my home? And the good news is that you don't have to wonder. You can actually ask them and they'll tell you directly. As part of our standard process for our clients, after each showing, we actually reach out to the realtor or the buyer if they didn't have a realtor to get some feedback about their showing. If they didn't like the home, we want to know why. And out of that information that we track, if we see that multiple buyers are highlighting the same concern, like the paint color of the wall was not nice or there was an odd smell in the basement, then we want to listen and we want to make changes where we can because that's going to help our chances. I get it. It's really hard to not take these criticisms of your home personally, but at the end of the day, these comments are gold. They're telling you exactly what made a buyer not like your home. So then maybe we can change some items around the house and avoid that so we don't lose any more potential buyers in the future. So make sure you or your realtor are asking for these feedbacks and then tracking all of these feedbacks on a spreadsheet. So that way you can prioritize some of those common concerns. For example, if you're hearing 3-4 times that, oh, that carpet looks really old, it may be time for you to either shampoo that carpet or replace it or remove it altogether. Because if you get rid of those common concerns that you're hearing from multiple buyers, then the chances are the next buyer is not going to have that concern. And that's one more positive bonus point on your side, which is going to lead them to put a good offer on your house. Also, make sure you're evaluating your cost versus benefits. Some feedback like structural issues or major layout issues, those things may be too expensive or impractical to actually implement. But usually simple cosmetic fixes tend to have the best return on investment. So some small, minor, and strategic improvements based on buyer feedback can actually turn that buyer from a maybe to a yes. So even though at first you may have this tendency to take those comments personally. Don't take them personally. Actually use it as an opportunity to improve on those concerns, and you may end up selling your home faster. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about are market conditions. Sometimes it's not just about your home. We could be in a buyer's market due to higher interest rates. Maybe there's a dip in the local demand, and so there's just fewer qualified buyers out there. But it doesn't mean that you're stuck. Real estate is extremely hyper-local, and timing can be everything. So the trick is to figure out if you can wait for a seller's market to return, or if it makes sense for you to sell, even if it's at a lower price. My clients always ask me, when's the best time to sell? And my answer to them is always the same. The best time is extremely subjective to your situation. So we got to figure out when's the best time for you. For example, if you're looking to upsize and get a more expensive home, it may make sense for you to sell at a bit of a lower price because you're going to be purchasing in that same buyer's market. And if the other property is more expensive, then really you could be saving a lot more on your purchase than you would be losing on your sale. On the other hand, sometimes you don't have to sell immediately. Maybe in that scenario, you consider renting out your property while market conditions improve in your favor. And being flexible like that, sometimes it means you're going to get a great deal on that next purchase. So the key here is to make sure you're aligning your personal goals, like wanting that bigger home or wanting to relocate closer to your work, with what's happening in the real estate market. That way you can never lose. So there you have it. We talked about 5 crucial reasons why your home is not selling and some practical solutions to get ahead of it. And as a bonus, if you're looking to find out how much your home can sell for in Vancouver, check the link in my description to get an instant AI evaluation of your home for free. Guys, this AI tool is up to 96% accurate, so it gives you a great starting point so you can take that number and interview agents if you're looking to sell your home. And as always, if you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you have any questions, put it in the comments. I'll make sure to answer them all. My name is Paris. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.